Good morning. So this is a socially distanced breakfast. You just get that handed through the door. It's a sign of the times. So it's the morning of day 3. Dry so far, although I don't expect that to last. The main Glasgow-Inverness road is just down there, so a wee bit of traffic noise. But a nice stay in the B&B in Briarbank. I would recommend for anyone that's staying away. So today to Invermarston, which is about 4 or 5 miles, and then another 7 or 8 miles to Fort Augustus. And it's my plan to get 2 or 3 miles. You notice my distances are always a bit vague. Past Fort Augustus to a place called Kytra Loch, where there's a wild camping area, so it should be easier to find a picture there. So it'll probably take me all of the day, probably be 6 or 7 by the time I arrive. Don't want it to be any later than that because it'll be getting dark. Don't really want to pitch my tent in the dark. But yeah, should be some scenery today. It should also be some rain, so those two might cancel out. But we'll see how it goes. Quite looking forward to today. Good start so far.
We are with you.
So here's a wee waterfall shot, because there aren't really any waterfalls on the Great Glen Way, so I actually had to take a wee detour just because, you know, usually there's hundreds of waterfall shots. So anyway, very nice. Summertime, that looks like you can go swimming in there. Hello, good morning, day 3, 9 o'clock-ish, and I'm on the road to Invermarston and then to Fort Augustus. There's a wee handy little signpost there, tells me it's 3.5 miles to Invermarston, so that's nice. It's going to be a bit up and down, I think. So where I stayed last night, the Briarbank bed and breakfast, I would, as I said, recommend that to anyone. That was in a wee village, not really even a village. There was the bed and breakfast, a hostel, and maybe a couple of houses, called Altsai, and apparently that means the burn of the bitch. It was where the last, according to legend, where the last she-wolf of the Great Glen was killed. Probably a good 300 years ago. But yeah, so that basically means burn, which if you're not Scottish just means stream, and bitch, which of course means Kardashian. So yeah, wee bit of local knowledge for you there. See you in a bit. It's gonna rain, but maybe not for an hour or so. So just try and enjoy it while it's dry. So here's a wee place you can shelter. Probably about 1.5 miles, 2 miles north of Invermarston. Let's have a wee look at this. There's just about enough room in there to get a sleeping mat, I think. Well, maybe not. If you're short, there is. You could curl yourself along the stone bench. Aye. Unexpected. Normally I would think that would be a shepherd's hut or something, but we really ain't in sheep country. It's just trees. Trees, hills. So yeah, that's a bit of a mystery. So there's about to be a bit of a very steep, windy path, and I thought I would video some of it because probably as time goes on I'll start breathing like a sick elephant in labour, which might be entertaining for those of you at home. So here goes. So you can see the difference between the vibrant green forest floor and this sea of death. I'm glad we're moving away from this. A whole lot of nothing. So there's pros and cons of doing this walk backwards, north to south, rather than the traditional south to north. Pros: no hiker anxiety. I'll need to explain that. If you're on a busy trail, like the West Highland Way, then there's constant occasions that you see somebody way ahead of you, and you know they're going just a wee bit slower than you. So over the course of minutes, tens of minutes, maybe even an hour, you catch up with them. Because you don't really want to slow down, because then you've got to look at their back all day, and you're going slower than your preferred pace, which doesn't feel natural. So you're going to catch up with them, and then you need to kind of make your presence known, sort of shimmy round them on the path, and then you feel obligated to put on a burst of speed because you've just passed them, and you can't just keep tootling along at your slightly faster than them pace, or else you're just going to feel like a bit of an idiot, and so are they. So yeah, social anxiety for hikers, none of that here, because I have not seen a single person doing this north to south. I do pass a few, not many, but a few, going the more traditional way. But of course, no anxiety there, just a wave and a hello, and off you go. Maybe a wee chat if they're feeling sociable, and I'm feeling sociable. So yeah, that's a pro. Cons: the prevailing wind in the Great Glen goes south to north, which hasn't really, up until now, been a problem. When it has been wind, I'm going into the wind. Hasn't rained, but when it rains, and it will today, I will be going into the rain. So I really need to swap out my glasses for contact lenses at some point today. And yeah, when I get to the high ground above the tree line this afternoon, that wind might become a bit of an issue. But I quite like a strong wind. I might be cursing it a bit when I'm walking into it for a few miles though. But yeah, pros and cons. Certainly solitude, going north to south, which is welcome, and no anxiety. But yeah, when the weather turns, that might be a bit of a downside. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so down in this valley must be Invermorton, and I think my way out is going to take me along that trail, possibly that very steep trail that you can see kind of centre shot going up into those woods. I suspect that's going to be the trail on the other side. I knew that coming out of Invermorton was going to be probably the worst climb of the trip, and if that's all it is, I'm happy enough with that. But we'll see. In any case, it's starting to rain. Not much so far. Don't feel the need to pull the jacket out, but looks like it's coming in a bit, so yeah, might put a bit of a dampener, if you pardon the pun, on the next little while. But we'll see how it goes. Nice view from here anyway, I'm glad of that. I've missed actually I haven't taken a look at. See you later. So that'll be the rain, and the wind. It's kind of blowing now. Might be an interesting day. So this will be Invermorton then, or the beginnings of, and the rain stopped almost as soon as it started, although that won't last long, I don't think. I still think this afternoon's going to be emotional, if I take the high road, which I probably will because I'm an idiot. So, nice wee town. I'm trying to find a cafe, get a coffee and maybe a bit of cake or something. That's the plan at the moment.
3, 2, 1. We are with you.
Spot on. So, coffee and cake stop at the Glen Cafe in Invermarston. I would recommend. It's about 100 yards off the trail. For me it was as I was coming into Invermarston. For anybody going south to north, it'll be just as you're leaving on the Skye Road. So yeah, chocolate cake's delicious, coffee's good. Fueling Nessie sighting since 2018 apparently. And just checked the weather forecast and it's supposed to stop raining. Maybe in, well, about 3/4 of an hour. So just going to dawdle here for a bit and probably put my contact lenses in and then head out of Invermarston for a steep climb. Pretty certain I'm going to do the high road. I've got 7 miles to Fort Augustus and then a couple of miles after Fort Augustus, but I'm not so worried about those. They should be pretty flat, but yeah, I'm quite looking forward to today, even though the weather's pretty awful. See how that goes. So there's an old graveyard over there in Invermarston, which looks quite, well, old and possibly scenic. And then we pan round a wee bit. We've got some standing stones. So yeah, quite a lot to see in a very small village. And there's more, I think. Okay, so this pool of somewhat stagnant and unappealing water is St. Columba's Well. Now apparently there's been a spring here since, well, forever. It looks like it may have seen better days. I'm not fussy about water sometimes, but no, just not going there. In any case, yeah, the legend goes that until about the 6th century it was considered by the local Picts to be poisonous and it would blister the skin. Might actually be the case now, but in any case, St. Columba, a figure of some legend in Scottish history, although he was Irish. Anyway, yeah, he toddled by on his trip across Scotland and blessed the well, and it's been lovely ever since, although it may be in decline, which could be an analogy for something, but well, anyway, bit of local history. Some people also apparently would say that this is the source from which Loch Ness sprung, rather neglecting, you know, massive glacial action which took place about 10,000 years ago, but let's not let that get in the way of a good story. St. Columba's got an interesting story. Nigel Tranter wrote it quite well, if anyone's actually interested. Invermarston Village Hall, which has a drinking water tap, so that's handy to know. You will pass it on the way. And this is Telford's Bridge, built by Thomas Telford, of course, because the man built, it seems like, most of the Highlands, and also, if memory serves, sizable chunks of Glasgow's infrastructure as well, so he was a very busy man. Anyway, this was the main road until 1930 something. Apparently it took rather longer to build and went over budget by about £2,000, which back in the 19th century would have been a lot of money, because the local contractors were, well, bone idle basically. So yeah, but that must have been a hell of a job of work to put together for the time, and now it's just quite pretty. So I'm now heading out of Invermarston. There's been a lot. It's been a lot to take little videos of and photos and stuff in a very small village. It's got history pushing at it. It's left a very favourable impression on me. I'm feeling revitalised. But then a decent cup of coffee and some nice chocolate cake, I'll always do that when I'm on a walk. So, yeah, good place to stay if you can time it that way. Nice wee village. Let's see what the next 7 miles brings. Well, must be autumn here. Quite pretty actually. Just jumping along out of Invermarston. Mostly been uphill actually. But I think that uphill is going to get considerably more uphill very shortly. Raining on and off. But it's nice. Not a solo round. Oh, a bit of a view. Oh, you can see the way that I came along. I came along by the side of that big hill there. And I am basically heading up an equally big hill this direction. Aye. Quite looking forward to this afternoon. It's going to be cold, it's going to be wet, it's going to be windy. Why am I looking forward to that? I don't know, because I'm an idiot. But I'm going to make the best of it. Okay, so decision time. Either take the lower road for 6.1 miles to Fort Augustus, which will be, if yesterday's anything to go by, very dull. Or the high road, which is 6.9 miles, 11.1 kilometres, with a lot of going up and a lot of weather. I think it has to be the high road. I'll almost certainly regret that decision. But also means it's still 7 miles to Fort Augustus when I thought it was 6. That's the high road for you. Yes, I am going to regret this decision, I'm fairly sure. Onwards, and very much upwards.
We
are
with
you.
you.
Well, I knew it was going to be steep coming out of Invermarston, but this is a lot of up. I will be glad when the up stops. In the style of Morgan Freeman voiceover, the up was not to stop for a very long time. So that was a lot of up, and I think the up stops here for now. Although there will be some more up along the ways, but I think that's probably the longest and last steep climb of the way. Just about to break through the tree line. I can hear the wind. It's going to be pretty blowy and probably quite wet for the next little while, so unless I put my headphones in, I'm not going to be talking. Even then, it's not exactly going to be the best sound quality. But yeah, you can see the break. It'll be interesting to see what's the other side of that, but I'm going to stop and roll myself a cigarette here because I don't think I'm going to get a chance once I have got into that wind. But anyways, that was fun. It was a lot more interesting than yesterday, and not very often that I say that a nearly vertical ascent for a mile is fun. But yeah, I needed that after the drudgery of flat and boring. So yeah, good times. Let's see what the high road's got to show. Just a shame the weather's not a bit better because there's not going to be much of an opportunity to appreciate the view, I don't think. But we'll see, who knows. Let's see. So I'm sheltering behind a rock. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad here. I don't know if you can see the rain pelting by. You can see the road down there, and I'm just looking at all the cars tailed back and thinking, that's not the way to do this. This is the way to do this. It's blowing out really, and I just gave a wee cheer because this is fucking brilliant. This is why I do this. It's not to trudge along forest tracks and bloody B roads. This has made the whole trip so far worthwhile. Just going to pan around the view a wee bit. And off we go again.
Excellent!
Well, I thought I'd done the last big climb, but it would appear that I was woefully wrong. But I tell you, there's going to be a killer view from up there, so let's get to it. So, try to use the headphone mic. I don't know if it'll work very well, but it might cut the wind noise down a wee bit. It is still wet, on and off. Still windy, on and off. But it is beautiful here, and it is wild. It feels wild. So, not all that much of anything really. I know that Fort Augustus isn't, you know, too far away geographically, but still feels like there's nothing here. Lovely wee waterfall there, and I have a big hill to climb, but that's fine because I feel good. I knew that I would now. This, however, might be, I'm a bit torn between Springsteen or Guns N' Roses for this climb. I'm not sure. Maybe start with Springsteen, and if it gets really gnarly, I'll switch to GNR. Something's going to need to propel me up that hill though. I just had to stop and take my pack off for the most bizarre reason. I was digging out the headphones from my bum bag, where I store all manner of junk when I'm walking, and I realised that the socket where it plugs into the phone, which is also the charging port, was half full of wax from my baby bell cheese. And I thought, oh right, if I actually try and plug that in, it's just going to totally destroy the charging socket. And that would be a bad thing. So yeah, I had to stop, take my pack off, dig out a penknife, flip open the corkscrew of all things. I'll never use that corkscrew for anything else ever. And dig out the baby bell cheese wax before it worked. So yeah, good time. Well, I needed a wee break anyway. I'm hoping there's a bit of shelter at the top of this. I'm halfway tempted to brew up a cup of coffee, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's stick some tunes on and power up this hill. So, definitely the best view of Loch Ness. Fort Augustus is just hiding a few miles back there. I'll check in a minute just to see exactly how far it is. But that's quite a view. Fading into the mist and cloud up ahead. And here is a wee shelter where I'm gonna have coffee out in the wind. Probably end up yattering on about something once I've got my coffee made. So hello, don't know what the sound quality will be like, but kind of sheltered here, so might be alright. Coffee stop, it's probably about 2:30, 3:15 on day 3. It's raining, but not much. It's very windy, but I'm in a shelter. And I has coffee. Proper coffee. And your instant mock up here. So this has got to be the highest point of the Great Glen Way. The view, stunning. I'd imagine were the weather better, I could probably see further. Probably, well, right up to the top of Loch Ness. But you know, the weather actually is quite, it's just made it feel more wild, and that's been really good. So it's kind of what I wanted to say really was, I'm going to get rain on the lens. I didn't want to say that, but it's going to happen. I've no idea if I'm in shot now. Ah, fuck the rain. What did I want to say? I wanted to say, I don't know, for anyone sitting at home who's thinking about doing a trip like this, just do it. Right? Doesn't really matter about the weather. I've enjoyed today much more than I've enjoyed yesterday and the day before when the weather was actually better. and I've enjoyed it because it's been wild. There's been nobody on this trail, not seen anybody for a couple of hours. Just walking against the wind and the rain, but it's been stunning, and I've been fairly bouncing along, really enjoying myself, feeling alive. You know, I don't feel alive sitting in an office. I don't feel alive sitting at home playing computer games, although it keeps my brain active and it passes the time. But I feel alive here, and I think that's what I want to say really. If you're thinking about doing a trip like this, get a sleeping bag, get a tent, get a waterproof jacket, get one of these ones. They're fucking brilliant and they only cost 28 quid. I'll put a link down below. Doesn't need to cost much, you know. You can borrow the tent, borrow a backpack, borrow a sleeping bag. Just get out there. Get out there where there's nobody else, where you can appreciate a bit of peace and quiet and just enjoy, you know. I'm so glad of today. I've been thinking the last couple of days, you know, you can take your Great Glen and stick it where the sun don't shine, although we are, you know, to be fair, already in Scotland, so but yeah, the first couple of days did not impress me, but this has been really good, and it's made it worth coming. And I'm talking too quiet for this to ever get picked up. Talking to myself. Anyways, if any of this does find its way into the feed, then yeah, you know, just do it. Feel alive. I'll shut up and drink my coffee. Take it easier. So, back into the tree line, and it was wild up there, wild. I am pretty much soaked, well, top half fine, trousers not so fine. Feet are still dry, which is good. You wouldn't even know it'd been raining in here, it's just, yeah, but it's certainly raining. So, shouldn't be much further into Fort Augustus now. Get something to eat and review my options for where I'm going to stay. So, later. Yep, looks like we're back in the waterfall pond again.